You actually had one hell of a game that, timing-wise, I got home just in time to watch the last 5 minutes of the game. And I've got to say, I am very glad I got home in time to watch the final 5 minutes of the game. Memphis Grizzlies at LA Clippers. Memphis trails the Clippers by 1-0 in the series. Game 2 last night. All I know is that they started talking when I got back about how the LA Clippers were up 12 points with 9 minutes and 50 seconds left. And at that moment in time when they were talking about that, the Clippers only had a 2-point lead with 4 minutes left. And then it turned into the Mike Conley versus Chris Paul show. These guys either scored or assisted on probably the final 20-plus points of the entire game for both teams combined. It was like the two of them went into their own little one-on-one world, and there was just guys there to help set screens. It was a hell of a show by both guys. Mike Conley trying to make a name for himself, go up against a veteran, great point guard in Chris Paul. And it comes down to the wire. Conley assists to Gasol for a dunk. Ties the game at 91. And it's like, you can even hear the announcers talking about it. Everybody in the stadium knows what they're going to try and do. Memphis knows what they're going to try and do. If you were home watching the game, you know what they're going to try and do. And simple answer, get the ball to Chris Paul. See what happens. Well, Clippers come out of the timeout. They get the ball to Chris Paul. And what happens? But Chris Paul takes the ball, goes to the right, gets up a shot, banks it in off the backboard, buzzer goes off. Clippers win 93-91, take a 2-0 lead in the series.
Yeah.
It was a hell of a show. And now, Eric, I know you said you didn't get to watch all of it. Timing-wise, though, you did get there in time to watch Chris Paul make the shot.
I did. I got there. It was weird time because, like I said, I'd been flipping back and forth between that and some other things. So flipping back and forth, and I saw the Clippers were up, like I told you, 10 with like 9 something to go, and you'd actually point out to me with 9:50 to go, they were actually up 12. You got home right after I think Memphis had made their big run. Well, I turned it off because I was like, oh, the Clippers are up 12 or 10 in the fourth quarter. Probably not going to lose this lead. So I flip it off. I was watching something else. All of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? Let me flip back. It should be the post-game show. Let me see what they're talking about. Go to flip it back. I flip it back right when he was at the top or the top of the key, pretty much. Right when he was right about ready to drive. So I mean, there couldn't have been more than 5 seconds left on the clock. He drives right, bangs it in. I hear buzzer go off. People start cheering and going nuts, and I'm like, wait a second, did I just see, what's the score? 93-91. Did I just watch a buzzer beater? I was like, that's awesome. It was just the timing was so perfect. It was right there. And I look at it, and, then I'm hearing them say how Chris Paul scored the last 8 points of the game. And you pointed out to me how it was really him and Conley going back and forth. Exciting game, and one that Memphis really wanted.
Yeah, and one that I don't want to sit here and say, oh, they really needed it. Because, look, you still have more than enough time in this series to make it a series. This series last year when these two teams played each other won 7 games. Now, I know last year is different than this year, but you have to believe Memphis is good enough to push this series to 7, and that all has to start with a win in Game 3 on their own home court. And if Conley keeps playing the way he's playing, that should be a hell of a confidence builder, in my opinion. And on top of that, you were right there in this game. So you get dominated in Game 1. You're right there for game 2. You got to believe that you're going to be able to take game 3 on your home court. But the real question to me is, when you look at these two teams, do you believe that the better team has won the first 2 games?
Yes, the Clippers are a better team than Memphis, in my eyes. So yes, the better team has won the first 2 games.
Okay, and I actually agree. I know that you don't you've never been that high with the Clippers, especially with the whole Blake Griffin is soft as a feather type of mentality that he seems
He's
to
a
play.
paper tiger.
But he played pretty tough last night. I'll give him that from what I saw and what they were saying about him.
He's a pushover though.
I had a laugh. They were making such a big deal in the game, too, about how last night the Clippers had like 6 or 7 dunks, and in game 1 they only had 1 dunk, and that just spells trouble for the team they're playing. I'm like, didn't they crush Memphis in the first game? So you're excited they got more dunks this game, and yet this one's going down to the wire? That didn't make any sense.